Previously on Pony Wars.
That Mustang and that Camaro are in trouble.
We heard the strategy of our 3 builders and started tearing into our pony cars.
Oh, that's it. Right from the get-go. Who stole the key to the car?
I'm over there with their engine out. And you notice our engine's actually in our
Yes. Somebody's got to do this shit. That's what I do.
I'm kind of impressed.
Now it's time for the builds to begin.
We're only going to give it all the horsepower.
Basically, here's the deal.
This is going to be a competition, and we are coming to win.
We're delirious. Dude, this smells like grape jelly.
So these guys have worked for literally 45 minutes at the most, and the engine is gonna stay on the ground, and they're gonna pick the car up off of it in 45 minutes. What? It's like they build Gen 3 Hemi powered cars or something.
We are in a completely different building where the engine is gonna start coming together. Oh, here it is right here. Look at that. So we're gonna start tearing this puppy apart and putting in all those sweet, sweet parts that we got from Summit. And let's make some power, huh? So now that the top end's apart, the lifters are out, the camshaft has been pulled out. Now he's getting ready to flip it over so he can start taking out the rotating assembly, which is crankshaft, pistons, connecting rods. Well, are pistons technically a part of the rotating assembly? Yes. Yeah.
All right, Mike, I see a bunch of parts for a Challenger. I want you to talk to me about them because I know you're on a limited budget and I want to know why you chose these parts.
Okay, well, we are on a super limited budget, especially in the Mopar world. They wouldn't let me change the crankshaft. They had this thing about cubic inches. So, 426 is Mopar magic, right? We've worked with Molly for a long time, and they make a custom piston just for us. It's made to our specifications. And there are some tricks in it that come from the NASCAR world, some that improve some durability and improve performance a little bit. Of course, I can't tell you what they are. We'd have to kill all of you. So anyway, this is the standard piston that we'll be using in this. This is designed to be an exact drop-in, so it's sized specifically for the engine. It has our specific requirements. This piston is designed to work with a Manley rod that we'll go through in a minute. They are, when you weigh them all out, within 1 gram of what we take out. We use a Manley rod, and you see every one of them comes weighted, right? So we know exactly what they are. And if you go through these, you're not going to see much difference at all in weight. So they're ARP bolts. All of the best stuff, right? Yeah. This motor, we're going to stretch that RPM limit and run this thing up into the 7,000 range. The top ring in this set is actually designed, specifically machined for us, but the top ring will actually come machined with a miner in the bottom of it that makes it like a gas-ported ring. Yeah, Comp does a lot of Hemi cams, and they actually grind the specific Arrington camshafts that we offer. But here, an Arrington camshaft costs more than a Comp cam costs. So I used the Comp cam because I didn't have the money. But this is a great camshaft. Lifts like 619, 614. Durations are in the 230, 240, and 50,000. So it's a little more camshaft than you would typically run if you weren't going to be in a boosted application or you were not running the 8-speed automatic like we are. We are not putting a torque converter in it. I know it was an available option. but we just don't have the money.
Why did you go away from the factory hardware and the factory gasket?
Well, we use Cometic in everything we build, right? And we do that for a few reasons. This is their multi-layer steel. So one of the advantages that a Hemi has over all of the others, see, we don't give these secrets away, but they make head gaskets in multiple thicknesses, and you can change the head gasket based on what you want to do with compression ratio and what your piston is and everything else. So with that, we're going to run an 80,000 stick head gasket in this that lets us lower the static compression. And ARP, I mean, how do you get any better than ARP, right? I don't know how ARP makes a hard stainless fastener, because every stainless fastener that you buy is under a 2. So they'll snap right off with a 1/4-inch ratchet without a lot of effort, and yet their stuff is stainless. It's super hard and super strong, and you know, we need to hold the head onto the block, and we have to have a gasket that holds, and we got to clamp load it. So we do have a little advantage there, is we have a cast iron block. There are advantages to that aluminum block being light, but my God, do they move. And this cast iron block doesn't go anywhere.
All right, so we are putting E3 spark plugs and E3 coils onto our late model Hemi for the Challenger. These are the E3 112 spark plugs. They're designed for late model Hemi and Coyote engines, and they're actually pretty sweet because the ground strap, it provides multiple points for spark to actually, finish. It provides a better fire over across the entire cylinder, and the gap is really small, so it's designed for boost specifically, and this thing is gonna make a lot of power, and these spark plugs, along with their high energy coils, are gonna provide us the ignition we need. Team Challenger spent 1/3 of their budget on engine components. Aside from the parts mentioned, Mike bought Arrington valve springs with comp cam spring retainers and spring seats, and half a set of lifters to remove the multiple displacement system without breaking the budget. All said and done, the Challenger spent $3,328.92 of the $10,000 summer budget.
As the builds start on all of the engines, Team Mustang has the least to do. Our only engine mods are to simply replace our oil pump gears and our fuel injectors and leave the rest up to the ProCharger. With all that money and time saved, we'll be out of the engine and onto the suspension in no time. So we have a lot of parts here, Dean. I mean, a lot.
A lot.
But what's funny about it is we have way less than they do.
Yes, we have more suspension.
We do. We have lots more suspension, but we have much less engine stuff. In fact, the only things we're doing to the engine are these Happy Dappy Livernois billet gears. Yep. The 5-liter has an issue because Ford uses really crummy oil pump gears. And if you put a supercharger on them and everything with the additional load, these things tend to break. So these parts fix that. The only problem is we have to remove the entire front half of the engine
to put
these in.
Yep.
Which only makes me want to drop the car on my head about 52 times.
But they're billet.
We're going to do 95-pound injectors, the fuel injector clinic injectors. Okay. These will support way more power than we're actually going to make at this point.
And they look really cool.
Ooh, fancy. Look at those. Billety goodness. My favorite part, I'm going to be honest with you, my favorite part.
Your favorite part.
My favorite part that we are putting on this car. It's not the billet, although it has billet. ProCharger. Dude, the ProCharger is my favorite thing, dude. ProChargers always come in a box with this giant foam deal in it, and inside, this happy goodness. Like this is spectacular is what this is. This happy little pulley right here is going to spin, and it is going to suck air in here. Yeah, see it spinning?
Can we spin it the right way? There we go.
Yes. It is going to suck air in here, and it is going to blow out air out there, and it's going to shove it through an intercooler, and then it's going to put all that happy boost into our 5-liter. Dude. We've already mentioned the oil pump gears and the sprocket for our mile-long timing chain, but aside from that, our only engine upgrades were a Steeda oil separator and a Mishimoto thermostat. In total, we only spent $389.94 of our $10,000 Summit budget on the engine. We have to take the intake manifold off just to get this valve cover off. Yeah, this was like incredibly poor planning. If you wonder why, hold on, one more electrical connector. If you wonder why it costs so much money to have a repair done on your new car, It's because some engineer thought this was cute, but didn't actually think about how it had to be maintained or repaired. And so this job that on so many engines would literally be an hour or 2 or 3, is a jillion hours instead.
While I appreciate Chad and Team Mustang's confidence that they will be done first, I think they have another thing coming. My guys at Vengeance do identical builds to this day in and day out. As for all the parts we plan to swap, better not blink because they'll be done fast.
Good stuff. The only one here that's more OCD than me.
You're messing with my emotions.
What's next? We gotta look at this list. We got a lot of stuff.
We do. We spend money wisely.
What do we got here?
Those are the Monar connecting rods. This is their 6125 power adder series for LS engines. Let's step up here to the comp cam real quick.
That's right. You were showing me this. This was a lot about the fuel pump lobe.
Correct.
At the front of the back of the cam.
Increases the output by 32%. You couple that with the upgraded LT4 pump, and now we got plenty of fuel for what we're trying to do.
And let's talk about these pistons really quick.
Yeah.
Now, this was a big thing. You were telling me that a lot of it was the weak link with the heat and pressure with the power adder.
Correct. What we've done in testing with these is, with the LT1 in general, you can go to about 650 wheel horsepower forced induction before you start cracking ring lands.
Okay.
So we needed something simplified for our customers when they come in and they want to supercharge and they want to make 750, 800 wheel without doing a full out engine build, without sending it out to the machine shop, things of that nature. So we worked with the engineers at Molle and developed a piston that could be dropped in with an aftermarket forged rod. So you got a forged rod, forged piston, heavier duty pin, no balancing, no machine work required. So now we got a short block that's good for 1,000, 1,200 horsepower, and we can assemble it in-house. Customer can assemble it in his garage if he chose to.
I mean, no matter how much you got going into the engine, how much you got coming out of the engine, a lot of it has to do with the cylinder head as far as efficiency, what it can actually flow. You guys made some really big improvements on these as far as your teaming up with LME.
Yeah, definitely. Brian and the guys at LME, they're just nothing short of phenomenal. Constantly deliver a consistent product for us. We've been using all of their LT cylinder heads since they developed the program, actually. We worked with them on a few different programs early on, started making some real good power with them, and we've been using them ever since.
We've saved some of our Summit budget for suspension, but the bulk of it can be found in the engine. We've already talked about the big ticket items from Comp, LME, Molle, Total Seal, and Molnar, but we also upgraded a lot of smaller components as well. Chevy Performance LS7 lifters with LME's DOD delete plugs and VVT delete timing cover, a Cloy's Z single roller timing chain, Trick Flow push rods, GM LT4 head gaskets, high pressure fuel pump and feed pipe, Skog and Dickey 160 degree thermostat, Vengeance Racing heat shields, catch can, and fuel pump fittings. All of that put together brings the total to $7,947.79 out of our $10,000 Summit budget.
All right, engine master.
Yeah.
Everything going all right?
Use that term loosely.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. So obviously gapped rings for the Molle pistons. Are we using a particular pack from Total Seal for a reason?
This is Total Seal's chromoly ring set. Obviously great for the high performance applications. For those who don't know, the piston ring is what's creating your seal between the piston and the combustion chamber. And yeah, Total Seal provides a great product that we use through and through and never let us down yet. bustling going on over next door now.
Well, it's because everything they do, they realize they have to do 2 more things
Before they do
to get back to where they were.
Yeah.
So now they're starting to get a little bit
Now they're
nervous.
like, shit, we got a lot of fucking work to
I mean,
do.
we don't have to do shit to our engine, but now they have to pull out
Everything.
to do the billet gears.
Yeah.
They have to drop the pan, drop the cradle, and all that shit. So now they're 2 days behind where they thought they should be.
Just like they were taking it way too slow.
You gotta bust ass up front and then be casual in the back half. You don't be casual up front and take the situation for granted.
Hi.
Hello. Is it me you're looking for?
Well, we're finally getting the front timing cover off of this thing, and I hate to call it a front timing cover because it's so much more than a timing cover. It's so huge on this car, or on this engine. But after removing half of all the other stuff, we're finally getting this off. And I'll remind you that the only reason we're doing this is so we can replace 2 little gears that are too weak in this thing to handle all the boost that we're going to put to it. So we have to put 2 new billet gears in the oil pump, and we have to put a new lower timing gear on the crankshaft because apparently the one that's on it is a one-time use only part. So there you go. That's the jam.
All right, this is one of the best parts. As this motor comes together, we got to get the cam in it. Ron, while I throw some Lucas Oil Assembly Lube on this for Josh, you take us through the camshaft.
Dennis, as you know, the camshaft is truly the heart of the engine. With forced induction, the specifications on the camshaft are extremely critical to get air in and air out and make the desired boost that we want to. Obviously, with this camshaft, we have removed the displacement on demand function that GM included in the engine, as well as the variable valve timing feature that this engine originally came equipped with. So we're getting rid of 2 variables that could be potential failure points with the high performance aspect of what we're trying to accomplish. So we're basically back to a standard Chevy small block LS type camshaft, if you will.
Thank you. Happy.
I've been part of the engine most of the day.
Yeah.
It runs on hopes and dreams.
Ta-da. Okay, perfect. Oh, God. Is it nap time yet?
Yes.
Okay,
It's always nap time.
It's upside down. No, I just want to see if you look. I just want to see if you look.
I did look. There's stories behind that, trust me.
Oh. And there she be.
It's as simple as that, Dennis.
I love it.
We'll fasten this LME LT4 cylinder head down with the ARP fasteners, torque it up, and move to the other side.
We're way ahead. We're going to make way more power.
Well, we told you day one we'd be way ahead from the start through the finish. And we're starting off that way, and we're going to finish that way.
It's easy. I'm going to end every little thing. Winning!
So Scott and I have suffered on everything to tear this entire engine apart, all to remove this little oil pump right here.
It's gonna puke everywhere, probably.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right there.
Look at that.
That's all good. We don't care. And all we're doing with this oil pump is removing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 little Torx. I got a Torx bit here. We'll see if it's the right one. In order to put these gears inside that bad boy.
They're so much stronger.
Yeah, they better be. They better be like Superman strong. They better be like, if anything breaks on this, I'm just gonna light the car on fire.
Dennis, we use the Summit Racing LS Trunnion Upgrade Kit, and why is simple. It's right here. The needle bearings that GM incorporates into the stock stamped steel rocker, when they fail, they go all over the engine. We're going to replace those needle bearings with bushings. You press in this bushing, drop in the trunnion.
Well, you forgot the fun part is taking the socket and knocking the bearings all over the ground.
You know, I said replace. We can talk about breaking stuff too, because if you'll notice, Dennis, we have all the trunnions completed, and in an effort to keep you included in the build, we allotted this remedial shop utility guy, janitor level task.
That's me.
To you.
Yeah, and I screwed it up.
And you managed on the very last trunnion to booger up the bushing when you were pushing it in. So now, when we do our job, you would notice that it doesn't turn freely like these do. We're sure you did a fine job, but we'll look over everything and make sure they spin freely just in case.
This turns, air goes in, there's this thing on top, and we make power. It's tin rib. That's nice.
Ready?
Sure.
Ta-da, happy, happy, spinny, spinny. Ta-da. And if you want to know how this works, this is a gerotor pump, so both gears spin like this, one around the other, and the oil gets trapped in between them, and as it gets trapped and forced out, it creates oil pressure. Very efficient. This is how all the newer vehicle oil pumps basically work along these lines in comparison to older versions that would have been shaft driven and stuff, although those would have been much easier to change and didn't require billet gears. I'm really, really, really not thrilled with having to do this part.
We're on the no messing around crew. I'm gonna do more of the talking. They got a guy on each side guiding it in, so Josh and Ron are gonna guide it in. Excuse me. Taylor.
We're good.
Rings it.
No, you're good, buddy.
Come back.
You're good.
You're looking pretty.
They are moving. This is literally going to be running in 36 hours.
I think we're good.
Okay, let's slide that bad boy in there, and then... There we go. All right, we got the oil pump on. We still got a lot of work to do to actually button the whole front of this thing together. But thankfully, the Livernois billet oil pump gears are in, and that makes me so happy I can hardly stand it. I think it's time for beer.
A little update on what's going on. Ron and his team, engine's in. They got it connected to the bell housing. Pretty much rods, pistons are in. Heads are done. DOD's out. VVT's out. What's next on Team Camaro?
So we are going to do some button up, obviously get the engine bolted back to the transmission, engine mounts, get everything back in place, and then we'll start working through the harness, some of the accessories and things of that nature. And then we'll get to a point where we'll stop with some of the factory stuff and then roll into the ProCharger installation itself. Hopefully tomorrow afternoon we'll be ready to make some noise.
Everybody thought in the beginning, because we'd be tearing, pistons and rods out of this thing, that we'd be the last ones to be done. That plan didn't work out for everybody.
No, I can't say that it did. Their engine bay would be empty if they didn't have a 6-foot tall guy standing in it.
That does help. I don't think they got a lot going on over there.
No, that's okay.
That's okay. Let history be written by the victor, because we definitely finished first. We tore down and rebuilt an entire engine, all before Chad replaced one gear. And I tell you, if that's not winning, I don't know what is.
It may have taken longer, but once we get these suspension components in, we'll see who's playing catch up next time on Pony Wars. We're laughing because if we don't, we will cry.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
The Hemi is gonna go back in the car.
We're gonna make so much power, it's gonna shatter.
The engine didn't even fall out once.